Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Circle Club Show. I'm Tyrone. We are talking the White Lotus Season 2, Episode 2 today. A lot of things happen. We're talking Tanya and Greg, Harper and Cameron, Ethan and Harper. But let's start out with Tanya and Greg, how the episode ended. So we find out that Greg is cheating on Tanya. Shaking my head, bro. Come on, Tanya. Now, I understand that Tanya she's eccentric, right? She's a bit out there, but it felt like in this episode, she was really trying to go all in with what he was looking for. Greg had suggested that, hey, tell Portia to go home, make this trip about you and I. He clearly finds out, which becomes an issue, but he doesn't say anything. He sort of plays along, and I thought, from my point of view, I was like, okay, he's going to let it slide because she still is in the moment. She's still giving him energy. But then we find out that Greg, at that very last scene, is cheating on Tanya. I felt bad for him, too, because I was like, maybe he is secretly not telling her because he's got cancer. Maybe there's something going on back home with his family. Maybe he got a call from the doctor that he's only got a couple of days left to live. So when he was saying, hey, I want to make this day special for you or whatever, I really genuinely was thinking that. And then to find out that he's cheating and he is who we thought he was in the first season, it's super disappointing. Now, the upside of that is we're going to get more Tanya. So, as the White Lotus seasons go on, as I've said, I hope that she's sort of that continuous anchor throughout the show. That way we're following her journey. Maybe she finds someone here on this beautiful Italian island, and season 3 we get more of Tanya. All right, next we got Harper and Cameron. Does anyone else just feel gross when Cameron is on the screen? I do not like how he hovers over Harper. It is just filthy. The first episode, he had that disgusting move where he changed in front of her. And okay, come on, bro. Ethan, as a partner, he should have completely addressed that and called them out. Maybe even hit him, to be honest with you. I am not for violence, but that may have been a moment. But, he just completely was dismissive of it and was just like, oh, that's just Cam. And I was like, man, that was super disappointing. And that right there, for me, I was almost wondering, is Ethan a cuck or what's going on with him? But the second episode, he lures her over for breakfast with his wife. I think Daphne sort of misses the cues that goes on with Cameron because she's oh, my husband, he's so sweet. And, he has good intentions, even though he's not perfect. He lures her over for breakfast. Then he starts making these little comments about how they aren't that bad of people at the beach. Harper completely denies it. And she's like, no, I don't think you're that way at all. So she goes to the water to try to cool off, which, by the way, great metaphor. He chases her after her, oh, let me go cool off as well. It's dude, give her space, man. He clearly wants Harper's approval because he's attracted to her. And I don't think it's just physical. I think he's, mentally attracted to how, she's very stubborn and is set in her beliefs and her ways. But he follows her out there like a creep, and under the water, he touches her legs. Which to the average person, it might seem like, oh, he's just being friendly or playful. I don't know, man. I feel like men who are possessive or abusers, they will always find a way to invade someone's personal space. And I really feel like his goal is to try to maybe have a threesome with Daphne, or maybe even sexually assault Harper. I'm praying, hoping that that's not the case. Every time I see him on the screen, I'm like, dude, get away from her. I just feel like something bad is gonna happen. But you also know that he's in love with Harper because when he goes back to the hotel, he's talking to Daphne about Harper, and he's like, he just can't let it go and how horrible she is and how boring, and it must suck for Ethan. And it's like, bro, you don't care about Ethan. Be real. But what is interesting about Harper and Ethan is as they're alone, she sort of alludes to the fact that this whole trip is a pissing match between those two, which would make sense because Ethan is almost, maybe not completely showing off Harper as, hey, here's my impressive, caring, sweet, smart girl that you could never get, Cam. Because this is almost like a dream girl for Cam. He can't control her, and what more does he like than control? You just see when he's on the phone, too, being so nasty about the reservation and his clothes. And Daphne's just like, he can explode, but that's just Cam. He'll be fine. And she's like, does he do that shit to you? She's like, no, not at all. Cam, I don't like this character at all, and it just makes me worried every time he's around Harper. What do you guys think? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure you guys subscribe as well while you're at it. Next up, we got Portia and Albie. Portia is Tanya's assistant, and she's just trying to escape and get away. She doesn't come from money. There was a comment made in the post show about how some people like to get away from their problems by going to vacation, and it sort of seems as if she's going away to vacation, but her problems are still with her. And we see her sort of have this explosive moment. She's sort of the quintessential Gen Z character where everything is existential and huge and big. And I think Albie sort of relates to it, but not quite, because obviously he comes from money, so they have sort of different problems. But Albie quite literally is telling Portia, hey, I'm the nice guy, and being the nice guy, it doesn't have its perks because no one actually wants to fall in love with you. No one I think you want to be friends with the nice guy, but not fall in love with the nice guy. And it seems like they were genuinely having a nice time. And now I know some of you in the comments may think, look, women, men, they can be friends without always being romantic. And I totally understand that. But it seemed as if these two were connecting because they were finding love in a hopeless place, and it's sort of like, hey, let's just have a fun fling. We're both here. We both don't really want to be here, right? From what I saw when Albie was like, hey, can I kiss you? It almost seemed like Portia was like, oh, okay, that's nice, but not really what I'm going for. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes forward. My fear is that Portia is going to somehow get involved with Cameron, someone else, and we're going to see Albie become that worst version of the nice guy, where the nice guy is like resentful and almost becomes an incel. But I have faith. In shows like this where it feels like everyone is bad or evil, or you don't know who to root for, you just have some sort of hope. And I feel like I mentioned before, Albie is this season's good guy or a hopeful character that you wish good things would happen to. But I don't think Portia's feeling homey right now, so we will have to see what happens there. Next up, we got Dominic. Now, before we get into Dominic's whole trio thing with Mia and Lucia, I think it's worth noting to talk about his father, Bert. Bert is not letting go of this divorce. He has this sort of heart-to-heart, not really, with Dominic, where he's like, listen, son, I've been there. You gotta fix it. You just make it work. And Dominic is telling him, dude, I don't want to talk about this. Let it go. Albie does know what happened. The wife knows what happened. The daughter, so much that she hates him and is not on the trip. For whatever reason, it's just really not hitting with Burke that this is a serious thing that happened. And he's coming from the old school too. So, he's like, hey man, I've been with my wife for this long and I cheated on her and did these things. I don't know why I'm giving him a country accent, but he thinks that they can make it work. But I want to know, what do you all think that he did? I think that Dominic got involved with some underage girls, which to me, not only does that become like a federal crime, a criminal crime, but if it's like sort of around the same age as the daughter, or if it was the daughter's friend, that just is disgusting. It's irredeemable. You can't make up with him. And he clearly has said he has sex addiction. And we see that with Mia and Lucia. And he decides to give Mia and Lucia, he tells Valentina, the hotel host, these women are going to be coming throughout the week. That was sort of a funny interaction back and forth because Valentina was trying everything she could do to not let these girls in because she knows that they're essentially sex workers. They get through anyways. Dominic is like, listen, don't spend too much on the credit card. Just be chill. And they were not chill. They went crazy with the credit card. They had themselves a good time. And you know what? Good for them. Take advantage of this fool here. At the end of the night, Dominic is at his door. Mia and Lucia knock. And he's like, listen, I really shouldn't do this. And in that moment, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't believe for a second that he was going to do the right thing. He's just not a good person. Even his son, the fact that Albie is on this trip with him when he knows what he did, and he's trying to sort of rekindle a little bit and make a connection, and Dominic is just rejecting it. He's not even understanding, like, he has no sense of what's going on here, that he is going to be ostracized by his family. He just is not clicking in his head whatsoever. But he's like, Mia, I can't let you come in. She's like, oh, well, what if all three of us play together? And he can't resist. He can't resist. Poor Bert is in the other room and has to hear this whole thing going on. He's just shaking his head like, oh, where did I go wrong with this guy? Right now, where we are on the show, I think it's solid. I'm loving where it's going so far. I have a lot of fun with shows like this where it's sort of like an onion. You're unraveling what's going on. You know, the very first scene we see is that there's someone in the water. I believe it was Harper who was in the water, and a dead body rose up. And I'm not quite intrigued yet of like who that person is. If I had a bet as of episode 2, I would go with Ethan, unfortunately. That would be really sad, or perhaps someone we haven't seen yet, but it seems like Ethan is the candidate. I mean, right, he's running on his own, he's doing his own thing, and I could see a situation where Cam gets jealous or too aggressive, or just Cam just strikes me as someone who would do something wrong and use daddy's money to wipe everything clean. So I don't know about that. One character I didn't talk a lot about is Valentina. I am curious to see how Valentina gets involved over the next few episodes. She's really not like Armond, and back in season 1, we were really following him and his journey, and you're like, whoa, like, how is this all gonna explode? We don't know a ton about Valentina right now, other than that she's just trying to run and manage this hotel. But I think as we see Lucia and Mia get more involved and some of the locals, that she may have to step in on behalf of the White Lotus. But I'm liking this season so far. I'm excited. But sound off in the comments and let me know what you guys think about some of these predictions, some of these ideas. Do you think Tanya and Greg will work out? Will Tanya find someone else on the island? Do you think Harper and Cameron, some of those things I said, may come true, that Cam may be violent with her? Do you think Portia and Albie will work out? Again, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And remember, just be you. Peace.